Happy Wednesday and welcome to the Breakfast with Barry Lee podcast. Talk about positivity. Our eggs are always sunny side up. Coming up, a very special interview with an amazing man and his amazing mule named Amazing Grace and the lives that they're impacting. To make room for the conversation, we're going to bypass the brain buster, go right to the pod planner, nationaldaycalendar.com. Today is National Walking Day. 30 minutes can do amazing things for your body. It's National Caramel Popcorn Day. You know, combining popcorn and molasses began in the early 1800s. Cracker Jack, invented by Frederick Rockhahn, created quite a stir at the 1893 World's Fair. And today is National Teflon Day. Teflon, invented by accident by Dr. Roy Plunkett in 1938. Dr. Plunkett was inducted into the Inventors Hall of Fame in 1985. And now, our special guests. This podcast is coming to you by way of Amazing Grace Gospel Barn. I'm with a good friend, Steve Foster. Have known Steve for years. It was over at the Warren County Fair. I saw his jumping mule performing, and I said, I have got to interview this guy. He came on my cable talk show. We have stayed in touch through the years. In the meantime, he has added more mules to his barn and to his farm, and not just any mule, miraculous mules. But Steve, it is so good to connect with you again, my friend.
It's good to see you again, too, my brother.
Mules literally saved your life.
They sure did. The Lord put them mules in my life for me to do a ministry with them, and I give them my word. That's what I do with them, and that's what I'm going to do. Back when I was younger, we lived on a farm. Didn't have no money. We worked on that farm for our food and stuff, and my dad was a coon hunter, and I got involved in coon hunting at an early age. I got my first mule at 10 years old. Fell in love with them. I rode them coon hunting, camped with them, used them for pack mules, and I made a living with my coon hides. I can remember telling them other trappers that someday that I'd have a world champion jumping mule and they would be like horses, and showing up, it come to pass. And the good Lord blessed me with some fine mules. I believe a lot of it come from living with them. I literally lived with them for weeks at a time in the woods. And I've come to know them, know what they're going to do, what they were thinking, and fell in love with them. And God seen a way for me to keep them until the day they put me in my grave, I reckon.
How did you and Missy, who still holds the world record, right, for jumping?
Yeah, Missy's still a powerful mule. I mean, I'm not boasting. I'm blessed to have a mule that's 24, 25 years old, and she's never been beaten. That's saying a lot. Especially when you travel with her for 17 years and jumped against the best of the best. And to this day, she'll still jump up to 70 inches, 70-some inches.
And that's a standing jump.
It's a stand-still jump. I can lay people on top of a jump at 6 feet and jump over top of them. So it's pretty rare right there.
You went from having a world-class jumping mule, and then you got into trick mules, and bring us around to that.
My, that's a long story there. But you know something, Barry? I've been in mules all my life, and I competed all over this country. I never accomplished much until I gave my heart to the Lord. Then I become a world champion, and I've got a mule out here ranked number 3 in the world racing, a mule number 1 in the world jumping. And Robert Duvall said that Amazing Grace is the smartest mule in the world. And he ought to know. He's been around a lot of them. But no, she is intelligent, very intelligent. And I got to give God all the credit for that, because she blows me out of the water. The stuff that she does, you know.
Sometimes you have dreams about tricks that these mules can do, and then the next day you come out and you start teaching these mules. But it takes a certain person to be able to communicate with these mules.
Like I said, I stand amazed. When I was really into it big time, trying to teach Grace a bunch of tricks, I'd lay in bed and I'd think of something, and the next morning I'd come out here, and within 30 minutes, Grace would do that trick. And that blew me out of the water. If she was in here right now, and if I'm talking about something she's never heard before, she tries to figure out what I'm trying to get her to do. I mean, it's unreal. It's amazing. And my wife, I've been sick for about 3 or 4 months now, my back and different things going on. And my wife has been feeding. And she comes in sometimes, and she's just amazed. I mean, she's around my mules a lot. But she says she's amazed how Grace will run and get those feeding pans and put them over the fence for her. I mean, that's pretty smart right there.
You came on my TV show a couple of times, and we actually saw shows there in the parking lot. Some of the tricks that she can do, like answering the phone, painting.
And now she answers any Bible question you asked her.
As an example.
I can say, how many days was Jesus in the desert? She'll count out 40. I don't have to move. Or how many disciples he had, and she'll count out the number. Anything with numbers, she can answer. She misses sometimes, like all of us. None of us is perfect, but one perfect person. And I'm so proud that how God has put them in my life. It keeps me focused to do good things with them, to try to get families back together, and that's what the Gospel Barn's about. I have it here first Saturday and the third Saturday every month at 7 o'clock, and to see a husband and a wife get back together and their kids get back in the family, it's all worth it to me right there.
I want to introduce your partner.
Yes.
This is Kirby Covert. And Kirby, when you first teamed up with this guy, I mean, you literally confronted him and said, all right, so what kind of tricks you pull in here that this mule can do this counting and all these tricks?
Oh, I did. I mean, I'd seen Steve and Grace perform several times. And I think, like so many people, thought, all right, what's the trick? What's he doing? Is he doing something with his feet, his hands? What's going on here? So at one point, after we had gotten very close, I grabbed Steve by the scruff of the neck and said, listen, I need to know. Be straight with me. And he looked me right in the eye. He said, no, it's all her. And I found out that it's all that mule. It's no tricks. Everybody thinks there's a trick. They think Steve's doing something. It's all Grace.
The mules have been an important part in your life, too, because you made a decision to team up with this guy to minister to others, especially in prisons.
Correct. And I'll be clear, I didn't make that decision. At a low point in my life, I said, Lord, what do you want me to do? And I will use whatever gift you want me to do. And he said as plain as day to me, he said, call Steve Foster. And we laugh about it, and I tell guys in the jail, because as soon as he said that, I said, God, seriously? I got to call Steve Foster? I said, he's going to have me playing the guitar and singing in Walmart. He's going to have me playing and doing all this. I said, I can't, but I did. And when I called him up, I said, Steve, I said, I'll go with you. And he said, I've been waiting on this call.
Yep.
This all revolves by God. And,
amen.
And if what we can do, if we can bring that news, I'm not a minister either, far from it. But all we're trying to do is tell guys in jail and girls in jail that there's a better way and point them in the right direction where to go.
Amen.
Share the story of a typical Christmas when you go to see prisoners. When they're at their lowest, missing family, that mule heals a lot, doesn't she?
Absolutely. When I got involved with Steve, and he said, well, we go to the jails on Christmas Day night. And I remember thinking, oh my, I have two sons, that were younger at the time. And I thought, I don't know if I want to do that. But when I walked in those doors, I was ministered to more than the message we were delivering. Being in jail, being incarcerated, Christmas Day is probably your saddest day in there. You see big, tough guys with tattoos on their neck, and their eyes are red from crying because they realize they're there because of decisions they made, and what a day to be locked up. But when we walk in that door and they see this 1,000-pound mule come clopping in, usually with bells, and Pam gets her all dolled up for Christmas, the faces start to change, and Steve tells them which way to go, and I usually tell them through music. And Grace is there to put punctuation on all of it.
And, talking about Christmas night, when I got saved, give my heart to the Lord, I don't have much of an education. I was a drug addict, alcoholic. I left my kids when they were little, and I had terrible marriages, and it was all my fault. It wasn't none of my wives' fault. They were good women. But the drugs and the sins of the world caused me to do some bad stuff. And I remember many a time, Bure, that I wouldn't be home for Christmas. And they didn't want me around either, which I don't blame them. Drugs brings the beast out of you and makes you do some nasty things. And when the Lord laid on my heart to go to jails on Christmas night, I didn't want to do that. I thought that was coming from me. I didn't want to hear that. I had enough problems with the law. I sure didn't want to go to jail on Christmas night, and been away from my family for all them Christmases. And I remember getting a little aggravated, really. And then I said, all right, Lord, I'm going to go. But you got to give me the words to say, And Kirby and I missed 1 year, and that was when this virus broke out, and that boat broke my heart. But it was a while before the Lord made it real to me why he wanted me there on Christmas night. It's a time to tell them, Stevie, what Christmas is really all about. You go and you tell them. this could be the best Christmas they ever had. So that's what Kirby and I try to implant in them, that this could be the best Christmas, man. And I tell them the truth. I don't hold nothing back. You keep messing around, somebody else will be raising your kids, I know. That ain't no good feeling. But you know, I told my daughter today, I said, I thank God, Jesse, for what he's done in my life and in my family's life. And I said, you know how it happened? I took my finger and I pointed straight right here. I took the guilt. It's all my fault. I asked God to help me, and he helped me. I would take nothing from my journey now.
It's an incredible story. Now, on the first and third Saturday of each month, here at your farm, which is located right off Reliance Road and 522, 340, you have built quite the complex here. This Amazing Grace Gospel Barn, you sing, Kirby. Are there prisoners that come to these performances?
Yes. I could tell you some stories that would just make your hair stay on your head and things that's happened here. My wife and I, we sit out on our front porch and we have coffee together in the evening. And it was almost dark. And this car come up my driveway. I got a long driveway. And I seen a bunch of heads bobbing up and down in there. And my wife said, I wonder who that is. I said, I don't know. So they pulled on up. And when they did, I got up, walked over towards the car, and this guy got out. And he come around the front of the car. And he said, you don't remember me, do you? And he told me his name. And he said, I just got out of jail, out of prison. He said, you come visit me one night. He said something that caused me to turn my life around. I wanted you to meet my wife and my family. I'm back with them. Wow. And it was 2 or 3 kids, and they were little kids. He motioned for them to get out, and he introduced me, and they was wrapped all around his legs, and she had her arm wrapped around his neck, and I knew right then I'm doing what the Lord's called me to do.
For people to come and attend on that first or third Saturday, do they need to let you know as far as reservations or anything?
No, and come as you are.
And Grace is the leading performer?
She comes right through that door over there. She'll knock on that door when it's her turn. And we open the door, and then here she'll come. But you know, you're sitting in a barn, Bure. A barn. One of the greatest miracles ever happened in a barn.
On the Facebook page, they can see pictures of all kinds of stuff that Grace can do. And she's been in movies. And we'll do another podcast because you've got a movie in the works.
It's supposed to be in the works, sir, and we'll do that, that's for sure.
She was in a movie with Robert Duvall, and he was blown away. It's called Get Low, right?
Yeah, I just talked to him the other night. Yeah, he loves that mule, he does. Yeah, he'll be over soon.
And real quick, Grace can do so many tricks. We just don't have time to talk about everything that she can do, from dunking the basketball to painting to answering phones to delivering mail. The mule can do it all. You saw an ad in a mule magazine about an American Idol competition for horses.
Yeah. We were sitting out on my porch one evening, and I was reading a mule magazine, and it had American Idol for horses. So, man, I called that person up and I asked him about it, and he said, well, it's based on what your horse can do, not what you can do. And I said, well, I'm interested in getting in this. He said, well, fill out the application in the book there and get it sent to us. And I said, well, I don't have a horse. I said, I've got a mule. And he kind of laughed a little bit at me, and he said, what can your mule do? And I'll never forget, Grace had her little head. She wasn't but a year and a half old. She had a little head down between my legs. We were having coffee. She'd drink her coffee, too. And I looked at her, and I said, she can do just about anything I want her to do. And he said, well, let's bring her on down here and see what we can do. So I did.
Where was that competition
That was in Greensboro, North Carolina. In American Idol, we were last, and I'll never forget. He said, we got one more competitor here now. We have a mule named Amazing Grace. And I'll never forget, I looked down at her, and she was little then. I reached down and pulled the halter off of her. And we went in there, and she showed her little butt. And she won that thing, and it made me so happy. And then we went to the Nationals. It was in Richmond Speedway. And same thing there. We were last again. Now we got one more competitor, a mule named Amazing Grace that won the American Idol. Well, you could hear a pin drop when he said won the American Idol. So out there we went, and she really showed herself there, too. And we won that thing. It really made me happy. I was a happy camper. I really was.
She's literally Amazing Grace.
She is. She weighs 940 pounds. And my wife will let me bring her in the house when she's cleaned up good. And she'll come in there and she'll sit on that couch. Turn the TV on, turn it off, get me a bottle of water. And play hide and go seek. She'll get in the corner and stay there until I say ready. It's stuff like this. It's just, I don't know, it's just unreal.
I dropped my hammer and my tape measure one day in the corral, and I thought, I don't want to crawl over the fence. I said, Grace, come here. I said, give me the hammer. She gives me the hammer. I said, can you hand me the tape measure, please? She picks it up in her mouth and hands it to me. And it's just normal life for her.
Yeah.
Again, you can go on Facebook, Steve Foster on Facebook, and you're going to love the pictures. To be continued. Kirby, thank you very much. Steve Foster, great to see you, buddy. Love you.
Always love you, brother. Always.
Thank you, Barry.
It's birthday time. Looking at celebrity birthdays, Candace Cameron Bure, the sweetheart of Hallmark Christmas movies. Got to meet her in Winchester a number of years ago when her daughter was queen at the Apple Blossom Festival. Candace turns 46 today. Paul Rudd is 53. Billy D. Williams turns 85. And John Ratzenberger, Cliff on Cheers, turns 75. Barney and Friends, I Love You, premiered on this day 1992, and the band NCT formed on this day 2016. Local celebrity birthdays: Carolyn Plank, Nancy Lawrence, Catherine Mitchell, Daniel Colvin, Twana Myers, Philip Gould, Deborah Alverson, hi Debbie, Rich Follett, singer extraordinaire, Dawn Kroc, and Liz Edwards. To you. Thanks for joining us on the podcast. Let me know when your birthday is. My email address is on the website breakfastwithbarrylee.com. And being that today is Paul Rudd's birthday, we'll close off the podcast with one of his quotes. He says, there are some days where we really feel we're on our game. We're sharp. We feel comfortable and relaxed. We feel good about how we look, or we feel comfortable about the day. And then there are the other 6 days of the week. Blessings.